Would like to briefly take a moment and say thank you to everyone who has continued to join us over at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel. The Holy Bible teaches us, rejoice always, pray without ceasing, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you. If you'd like to join us over there, it's only $1 per month at the base level, and even less than that if you sign up for an entire year, and no matter what level you choose, it's fully refundable. First 90 days, no questions asked. What's the difference between YouTube and Patreon? At Patreon, we can take the gloves off. There are no censors. We have, of course, the Patreon firewall, and then we also have Vimeo that we're partnering with, and that gives us one extra layer of protection where we can speak our minds and we can take advantage of rights that we used to enjoy in this country freely. Would love to have you over there. There are hundreds of exclusive videos, never before seen here on YouTube. Please, if you have the ability, would love to have you over there. You won't regret it. God bless all of you, and thank you so much. The Pentagon just slipped up, and nobody has caught it yet. Recently, they've released about 1,500 pages of documents about what many people refer to as UFOs. But they don't refer to them as UFOs in the documents. In fact, they call them something very different. Advanced aviation threats. And some of the information had to be redacted for commercial reasons. Now, this points to only one conclusion. They're not coming from outer space. These craft are coming from Antarctica or the deep oceans, or some of the craft are reverse engineered from things that have been found in the deep ocean and Antarctica. Now, I'd like to say thank you to everyone for your patience. I don't normally release videos this late at night. It's just been a very, very busy day here. We had a lot of storms going on earlier, and there were just some things around the house that had to be done. But I did want to cover this because so much other news going on today is distracting from what the real story is. Now, this is from 5 April. We're closing in on them. UFO expert on Pentagon findings. UFO encounters leave burns, brain damage, and other physical ailments. Radiation burns, brain problems, and damaged nerves. While the memo from the Defense Intelligence Agency, or DIA, is not the hard evidence needed to confirm, quote-unquote, life on other planets. See what they did there? Nick Pope, a journalist who used to run the British government's UFO project, says we're closer than we've ever been. If they're out there, we're closing in on them, and will be the biggest discovery in human history, he said Tuesday night during the show On Balance with Leland Vittert. Titled Anomalous Acute and Subacute Field Effects on Human and Biological Tissues, the memo was part of more than 1,500 pages of DIA documents related to the Pentagon's secretive UFO program called the, you ready for this, Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program. The document, which was requested back in 2017 under the Freedom of Information Act, was finally released Tuesday. It confirms, at least according to Pope, what pilots have been reporting for years. We've seen multiple videos, U.S. Navy videos of jets chasing these things, tracked on radar, and it's not just, see, they use this term, unidentified flying objects, not aviation threats. So they're using two different terms here to distract. Frankly, they've been looking at other things which sound like they come straight out of an X-Files script. In 2019, the U.S. government declassified, released, and confirmed videos showing encounters between UFOs. What they're referring to as UFOs is not what the Pentagon is calling them. The Pentagon is calling them advanced aviation threats. That's a very different thing, and that's what everybody is missing. They're conflating two terms. An advanced aviation threat is not, by definition, unidentified. And U.S. Navy pilots, 2004, 2015, I'm sure a lot of you have seen the videos. Spherical flying object, coast of San Diego, we've all seen the videos. But because there aren't definite confirmations on what these objects actually are, the possibilities are endless. No, they're not, because, once again, the military is calling them advanced aviation threats. You see, that gets rid of all of the swamp gas, that gets rid of all of the earthquake lights or all of the misinterpretations. Whatever it is, it's out there aviating, and that's a very specific term. All of this is why Congress is now taking very close note of this. There are multiple once again, here we go, UFO provisions in the latest defense bill, so people are taking this seriously. UFO has one meaning, and I'm going to repeat it probably a couple more times at least. UFO, unidentified flying object, could be a football thrown through the air at night if it hits something like, say, the windshield of your car. It was flying, it was unidentified, and all of a sudden, something hit my windshield. That technically is an unidentified flying object. But an advanced aviation threat is a completely different choice of words. And words have meanings, especially in military reports. You can't conflate these things. I think there's been a realization that this is a serious defense and national security issue. You see, this is the key. This is the key. They called this the Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program. Now, in none of these videos that we've shown here at this channel or have been shown on other channels, none of those craft, even in the one that we showed from Mexico, none of them showed any type of threatening behavior. Even when our aircraft pursuing them did themselves, attempting to intercept, showed threatening behavior, none of these craft changed what they were doing to become a threat, yet they refer to this as the Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program. You see, this is them playing a game, semantics. And down here it says some of the records they couldn't release. Why? Exemption 4 protects trade secrets and commercial or financial information obtained from a person that is privileged or confidential. Exemption 6 applies to information which, if released, would constitute an unwarranted invasion of the personal privacy of other individuals. DIA has not withheld any reasonably segregable, non-exempt portions of the record. Now, what does that tell you? These craft are from the planet. They're from here. Whether they were confiscated from Antarctica or the deep oceans, or they were reverse engineered from something that came from Antarctica or the deep oceans, one way or the other, navigating from point A to point B in the vacuum of space versus navigating from point A to point B inside an atmosphere, two entirely different technologies. That's why the craft we send up to the space station, they don't have wings. The only reason the space shuttle had wings is so that it could survive re-entry and land. You don't fly through space. You kind of drift through space. Aviating means flying. Astronauts are not aviators. Astronauts can be aviators, but they're not aviators. This is the key. This is where they've slipped. They've finally given a piece of information out now. They're calling this an advanced aviation threat. And I'll give you the links to these articles. The DIA, the Department of Defense's spy arm, said some portions of the documents must be withheld due to privacy and confidentiality. And nobody's asking this question, how and why? Now, they talk about the burns, the heart problems, sleep disturbances, all of this other stuff when people talk about UFOs. But once again, a UFO can be anything. The apple that fell onto Isaac Newton's head, was an unidentified flying object. Put a big enough engine on a brick and it'll fly. But that's a UFO, but that's not an aviation threat. Humans have been found to have been injured from, quote-unquote, exposures to anomalous vehicles, especially airborne, and when in close proximity, it reads. That's an entirely different thing. And this is what, and nobody is tracking this. Nobody's saying, hey, wait a minute. They have just completely changed everything. And we find images like this in Antarctica where it looks like hangars. It looks like where craft are parked. Clearly, without any shadow of a doubt in my mind, based on what we've seen from satellite imagery, confirmed satellite imagery in Antarctica, on top of what the Pentagon has now done with this report, for me, it's a lock. They've changed the language. It's no longer UFO. It's advanced aviation threat identification. That's huge to me. That, to me, is the smoking gun, so to speak. These are aviation threats. So I'll leave it there. What do you guys think? Given that there's no other real news of any note going on today, I think this would probably be a great topic to get going in the comments section. Sure appreciate it. God bless. Thank you, everyone who has showed up over at Patreon, by the way. Would like to have a lot more of you there. $1 per month. That's all. Even less if you sign up for an entire year. God bless. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time. Would like to briefly take a moment and say thank you to everyone who has continued to join us over at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel. The Holy Bible teaches us, rejoice always, pray without ceasing, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you. If you'd like to join us over there, it's only $1 per month at the base level, and even less than that if you sign up for an entire year, and no matter what level you choose, it's fully refundable. First 90 days, no questions asked. What's the difference between YouTube and Patreon? At Patreon, we can take the gloves off. There are no censors. We have, of course, the Patreon firewall, and then we also have Vimeo that we're partnering with, and that gives us one extra layer of protection where we can speak our minds and we can take advantage of rights that we used to enjoy in this country freely. Would love to have you over there. There are hundreds of exclusive videos never before seen here on YouTube. Please, if you have the ability, would love to have you over there. You won't regret it. God bless all of you, and thank you so much.